Hey guys, Julie here. Today we're going to be making some tres leches cake. This is one of my favorite cake recipes, and this is one of those cakes that you're going to give to somebody that says they don't like cake because they're going to love this, unless they're lactose intolerant. So we're going to go ahead and get started mixing up some of our dry ingredients. So we'll have our flour here, and then we're going to put some baking powder and some baking soda in there. We'll whisk that up and then set it to the side. Now we'll go ahead and separate our eggs. And I have 5 eggs here, so I just use the yolk to separate them. Somewhere to put the yolk. So put the yolks in one bowl and the egg whites in another. Alright, got some egg. Okay, there. If you get any shells in the egg whites or in the yolks, you can just use another shell to get it out. And we'll go ahead and put the egg whites into our mixer and beat those. No, I gotta plug it in. That helps if you plug it in. And we'll go ahead and take our whipped egg whites and put them in another bowl and set them to the side for a few minutes while we mix up everything else. And they're pretty fluffy. They don't have to be perfect, like they don't have to be as fluffy as if you're making some meringue, but you still want them to be pretty whipped. Alright, we'll put that to the side. Then we'll take our sugar and our butter and mix those together. I have some sugar here and some butter. And I just mix my butter in with the sugar for a little bit until it's a little bit more incorporated, and then we'll beat it for about 1 to 2 minutes until it's really fluffy. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and start adding in the egg yolks, 1 egg yolk at a time. But I mean, I kind of broke all of them, so I'll have to just maybe 1 scoopful at a time. And another spoon. And another. 2. And we'll just scrape down this side. And then we'll go ahead and add in our milk and mix that in. And we'll add in some vanilla and mix that in. And we'll scrape the sides before we start adding the flour. We'll just add about 1/3 of the flour at a time and then mix it. Alright, and now we have all of our flour done, so we'll scrape the sides and take off the whisk attachment. egg whites in there, and then fold them in very gently, just very carefully. And once you add the egg whites into the batter, it becomes a lot more like cake batter, so don't freak out before you put them in there because it's very thick before you add them. Perfect. And we'll spray a 9 by 13 baking pan. Just pour the batter into the pan. Looks really good. Okay, and we have it in the pan here, and it's very thick, so it's going to be kind of in one solid area. So you're going to make sure that you want to like kind of spread it around. But this cake is really good because it really will absorb all of the milk that we pour in without getting too soggy. So, and it's also not too dense, so it still has that creaminess. Now we'll go ahead and put it in the oven for 30 minutes. Alright, and then while the cake is baking, we're going to go ahead and mix up the 3 milks. That way we can pour it onto the cake shortly after we take it out of the oven. You're going to want it to still be pretty warm when you pour the milk on. That way it soaks into the cake. So I have some whipping cream here, and then we're just going to add some evaporated milk into here. And then we also have some sweetened condensed milk. This is really thick, so I'm just pouring it straight from the can. That way I don't have to scrape 2 bowls. Okay, all of it. I like to make sure I get as much of it as possible. I'm going to just use a fork to make sure that I get it all. And I put it in this measuring cup because it has a little spout. That way I can control where I'm pouring the milk onto the cake. That way you get it evenly saturated. Perfect. All right. I'll make a mess. Ah! Oh my gosh, every time. Okay. Okay, got a cooling rack. Cake here. I'm just gonna take a fork and perforate little holes all over the cake, and I try to do it somewhat in some grids and lines. That way it's all even. So we'll start on one side, just move throughout. So you're just going to want to put like 1 billion holes. Alright, and then now that we have 1 million holes in here, we're going to go ahead and pour the milk. The cake will be kind of like risen, of course, like in the middle. This one didn't rise too much in the middle, so that's actually really good because as you're pouring the milk, it's going to start going towards the sides. So you always want to start just right in that middle. So we'll pour it right there. And I'll just pour it on. And you can just see it like soaking all of the milk up, and it can sometimes have like somewhat of a pool, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take my oven mitts and kind of like move it, but just be careful not to spill it. I'll go one side. Just a couple little drops, maybe a couple. Okay, got it all. Okay, and now for the most torturous part of the whole process, is we have to wait. You're going to want to put it in the fridge for about 3 to 4 hours. That's going to just help cool it, and it's going to allow that cake to just soak in all that milk. Once it's been in the fridge for a few hours, we'll make the whipped cream and put it on top. Let it cool for a few more minutes before you put it in the fridge though. Obviously you don't want to put a burning hot cake in your fridge because it's going to bring down the temperatures of all the other foods. So we'll let it cool and then we'll cover it and put it in there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and make the whipped cream, and I just pulled my mixing bowl out of the freezer. I put it in there for about 30 minutes, so you don't want to put it in there too long, but you do want to be careful when you take it out. And we'll go ahead and put our whipping cream in there. Some vanilla and powdered sugar. Now we'll go ahead and put the whipping cream on our cake. And we'll just put the whipping cream straight onto the cake. Oh, they're like pillowy clouds. Alright, and we'll just spread it all over. We'll take some cinnamon and just sprinkle it all over. And you could do strawberries too, but cinnamon goes really well. And now we'll finally get to cut it up and try some. Oh. Oh. I cut 2 pieces, and I probably shouldn't eat more than 2 pieces at one time, but we'll have cake for breakfast. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.